Well, well, well. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Main Event Marks podcast. I'm your co-host, the former voice on your radio dial, wrestling enthusiast, collector of wrestling memorabilia, and cat dad. I'm Troy Adams, and your other co-host today, he is a barista, figure hunter, coffee snob, and walking wrestling encyclopedia. He is the Hollywood Nova to my Big Stevie Cool. He is Greg. What's up, Greg?
What's up, my dude?
I miss the
I think
BWO.
Nova said that instead of brother. What's up, my dude?
I love it.
That was horrible. It was so great.
The BWO were something, man. I
Joey Styles said about that? But if one gimmick was ever made that didn't deserve to make any money but made a boatload, this is it. I believe that's what he said about them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've heard him say similar things about the BWO, and you know, people talking about it was like the most successful comedy gimmick ever. I mean, it depends on what you want to consider comedy, I guess. But the fact that they popped up in WWE for a hot minute was kind of cool.
Also, I feel like, and we'll get into this, I feel like people forget how good of a wrestler Nova was because they go up that Simon Dean crap.
Yeah,
which is really not fair to that man because he was so good. I
have a Jax figure of Simon Dean.
First
one of the podcast. and he came with a Simon Shakes.
Like, who the hell buys a Simon Dean figure?
Apparently
Please tell me your dad bought that randomly for you.
I think he did. He did.
Cool.
I think it was a Christmas gift as I used to get like just boatloads of wrestlers for Christmas. But yeah, and Ruthless Aggression era was a time of gimmicks. So
I accept it was a gift, or I got it for like $3 at a dollar store or like at a bargain store.
Hey, that's how I got Mojo Rawley. No offense to Mojo, but yeah. But yeah, guys, today we're covering Heatwave 1999. So I'm talking about Nova. He is on this show. Our first ECW coverage of the podcast so far. And the year 1999 was crazy. There's a lot of news and notes from this time to get into, definitely. From the time, man, this show happened in July of 1999. The WWF and Jesse Ventura held a press conference to announce that Ventura will be the special guest referee for the main event at SummerSlam 1999. I got to go back and watch that show, but I remember, because I was deep into my fandom at this time, I remember that was a huge deal. And people
were... He's a sitting politician, like an upper politician, too. Or no, not just some, like, councilman or something.
He's the governor. Yeah, he's the governor of Minnesota at this time. That's why they said it was a huge coup. And up until this time, Jesse Ventura had kind of been at odds with the WWF. So this was a big deal just in that respect. But the controversy was they had to figure out, okay, well, he's going to get paid, but you can't pay a sitting governor for appearances. So where's the money going to go? And they eventually decided on 100% of his paycheck was going to charities around Minnesota, which seemed like the obvious thing to do.
My guess is he gave it to like ex-SEALs.
I don't remember. I can't remember what charities it was he decided upon, but yeah, it was stuff around Minnesota.
I feel like he probably picked the military. So
yeah, most likely. But yeah, that's that is only one of many major stories happening, and I forgot the summer of '99 how like all the big stuff that was happening until I started diving into this. Here's another one. SmackDown is about to start. I'm getting a lot of these news and notes from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, by the way. So, and like I said,
from Uncle Dave, got it.
Yeah. So I said it last week, I believe. In retrospect, you can see what is 100%, made up, what is guessing, and what is opinion. And I threw out a lot of that unless it's funny. So I'm trying to stick with the facts here. But I like this where Uncle Dave said Kevin Kelly and Michael Cole will be the announcers for the new SmackDown show starting next month, which pretty much guarantees that it will be the B show.
I heard Kevin Kelly and I stopped listening.
You and I are vastly different on that. I absolutely love Kevin Kelly. Like, I didn't back here. Also, I want to clarify that. I love him in New Japan. But
I didn't realize he did New Japan. Well, I mean, I knew he did Ring of Honor. I guess that makes sense. But
yeah, oh yeah, he's the English commentator for New Japan now that JR is gone. So, and he's great because he's like everything we said about Matt Stryker, why we liked him. You know, he's educated, he knows all the moves, blah blah blah. That's Kevin Kelly. He really got into this role. So I think he belongs in New Japan. But as far as American wrestling, meh. Here's another big story from the time. It appears that Sable's lawsuit against the WWF is on the verge of being settled. The $140 million lawsuit is mostly an attempt for Rena Mero to get the rights to the name Sable and not to have to give up a cut of her $850,000 Playboy deal, which she negotiated herself instead of going through the WWF, which was against the terms of her contract. Last week, a judge in Hartford, Connecticut, ruled that WWF owned the rights to the name Sable. Well, duh. Like this was
argue that.
This apparently Rena Mero was arguing that. This was stupid. Like Bruce Pritchard talked about this on his show. He said, we put her on TV for the first time ever. We got her into Playboy. We gave her the name. We made her a superstar. How in any universe does she think she owns her name?
I mean, Mark Hamill doesn't own Luke Skywalker, I'm pretty sure.
Hey, I made
Luke Skywalker get to own it famous. You don't get to own it just because you nailed the part. And I use that loosely.
Yeah. Well, and you gotta think, with stuff like that, like, we're seeing it today. Everybody who leaves the WWE, if you did not come in with that name, you do not get to leave with that name. And
I think that's very fair.
Yeah. I mean, if the WWE...
They're trading.
Yeah. Right. If you come up with it, you get to keep it. And, I mean, I see, because like people like Jim Cornette argue about that point because of the way the territory systems were. He said, why would you not want them to go somewhere else? If they can't get over with you, go somewhere else, get over with that name, and then bring them back, and then people already know them by name identity.
Because there's no guarantee they're going to come back, though.
Right. Right. That's my thing.
That's a huge gamble.
Yeah.
I get it, though. He's not wrong.
Yeah. And in the territory systems, that was more of a thing. And in the territory systems, 9 times out of 10, a territory was not going to give you your gimmick, your look, and all that stuff. They were kind of like, they might help you along, but that was kind of up for you to do. So it's very, very different. Here's something you might have some insight into what happened. Ken Shamrock is expected to take a year off from the WWF soon to jump back into the UFC. Was here around that time he did that?
Yeah, he did go back too, and I think he sucked.
Do you remember, any fights off the top of your head around this time that he jumped into?
I do know that when he went back to MMA, he started that feud with Tito. It wasn't just him, though. It was the whole Lion's Den. He ended up fighting him 3 times, but it wasn't right after this.
Yeah. I remember one fight of his specifically, and it was way after this, but one fight specifically where I was super amped for it. I was a big Shamrock fan from his time in the WWF. Didn't really care about Tito too much. And right out the gate, they're squaring off. Shamrock goes for a high kick, falls on his ass, and Tito cremates him. That was embarrassing.
It was about 3 years after. I'm looking at the timeline now. It looks like his first fight was in May 1st, 2000 at Pride. He won.
Wow. With Pride, that's one of them. It's like, did he win, or did they say he was going to win?
And then he went on a 5-loss skid.
Oh, man.
Losing to Tito Ortiz twice, Rich Franklin, Sakuraba.
Good Lord. I mean, these aren't terrible names to lose to, but for Pete's sake, dude. You left the WWF
the old Shamrock in his prime should have not lost or at least been in it.
Right. Well, some other people leaving the WWF around this time. These first 2 names we're not going to cry over. Nicole Bass and Ryan Shamrock have left, along with...
Oh, no, not Ryan Shamrock.
And Goldust is also gone. Bass has been saying that she could make $20,000 a month by doing, quote, apartment wrestling, which is basically fetish sex things with guys who want to watch women overpower men.
Why do you know what that is?
It was in the article.
Mhm.
So that, no offense, I know she's dead and I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but it's like, if I was going to watch that, it wouldn't be Nicole Bass. So I'm just saying.
I don't understand why this is even a thing.
I don't know. People are weird, Greg. So we know a few weird people, but I'll leave that alone.
Wow. Was this like, did it say, or, I'm assuming wink, wink. Was it like a pay site or was it on TV? Was it some Howard Stern crap? What?
From everything, because they talked about this a little bit on Pritchard's podcast, but apparently from what was understood was men would pay her to come to their apartment and do this. She would record it and then she would put it online on a paid site. So she'd make double the cash.
Like, I want to just ease up on laughing because I know she passed away, but good Lord.
Yeah. Well, and Bruce was like, well, we weren't exactly sad to see her go. And then we were like, man, we're not willing to pay you anywhere near that amount of money. So go make your money. Ryan Shamrock, she left because she just didn't want to sign a long-term contract because she's only 20 and she didn't want to be locked down. And then Goldust has been out with a back injury for a while. And also he and Terry Runnels are going through a real-life divorce at this time. So a lot of stuff for Goldust. He's about to pop up in WCW, if I remember correctly.
And he's 7.
Yeah, he was going to be 7 for literally, a couple weeks? I'm including vignettes. On screen time, actually in the arena, he was 7 for about 5 minutes. And then...
and that's the entrance right there. That's it.
Yeah. Which, by all intents and purposes, was awesome. And I was hyped. If I was watching at the time, I would have been amped. But...
I remember them... God, I hate saying this, but it felt like they were making like... Okay, obviously it was like the Boogeyman, but he looked kind of like pedo-ish. I'm sorry to say that, but he was like watching little kids. He was watching little kids from the damn bedroom window.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a Boogeyman type thing. Yeah, that was the problem, was people wrote in and they were like complaining. They were saying he's watching little kids from the bedroom window while they sleep. It's creepy. So, I don't know. I think he was supposed to be like a Freddy Krueger type, whatever. But
I hope the kids in the vignette, one of them was his own kid.
I don't know. But
I hope that doesn't sound wrong, but I just hope it was his own kid, so he's not watching some stranger's kids.
Well, it's not like these were rando kids that they were like, all right, we're going to shoot this guerrilla style where you're going to walk up to a random house and peek in. But yeah, so I don't know. That was the major problem. They eventually went to the Nightmare, the American Nightmare, I think. Dustin Rhodes. Wasn't that his name at the time?
Probably. It sounds like they use that for all of Dusty's kids, so.
Yeah.
Although Cody went hard with it, though. He got it actually branded on him, so.
Oh, gosh, I know. That hideous freaking neck tattoo. Like, why? Ugh.
You literally have that as face paint. Have you never seen Sting? Like, paint on your neck.
Yep, I know. The WWF has been doing Millennium Countdown Clock on TV, and the countdown should end on August 9th during Raw, which is also the night that Chris Jericho is expected to debut. So that's most likely what it's going to lead to. Well, that never went anywhere, and nothing ever happened. So
look, when I was a kid and I saw that, I didn't look at the time, like how much is left. I literally thought it was counting down to the year.
Yeah.
And then looking at the time as I got closer, I'm like, oh, it's getting lower and lower. And then I started piecing it together.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying they were like, this is a random time to have a countdown clock. For people that don't know, like in 99, by the way, if you can't put yourself back in this time, if you're too young, because you got to think, Greg, people born in the year 2000 are 20 years old right now.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. Yeah. So some people were either too young.
Thanks for showing my age, you jerk.
Well, me too. Some people were either too young to remember, weren't alive, or they just, it slipped their mind. But seriously, the year 99 was a big deal for a lot of people as far as like, the Y2K bug was real to people. Like they thought that we were going to hit the year 2000, computers were going to malfunction, because they wouldn't know how to compute. Planes were going to fall out of the sky. I mean, just like, it was going to be Mad Max out there.
I was 15 years old. I didn't buy into any of that. I
thought it was
so hard.
I mean, there was a part of me going, what's going to happen? But at the same time, I was like, this is kind of stupid. I don't know. Here's something that's, going to bear a lot of fruit in the future. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. It really will. Jim Cornette is now helping to run Ohio Valley Wrestling in Louisville. For those of you that don't live in the Kentucky area, it's pronounced Louisville, not Louisville. The plan is for it to be the step one of development or a step one development territory for the WWF. It's actually kind of the second step, because if I remember correctly, they would go to Deep South, and then if they did well in Deep South wrestling, then they would graduate to Ohio Valley Wrestling. And then if they did well there, they got called up. So, there's the beginnings of OVW, man, and we know in a few years that's going to produce a lot of big, big stars like Randall Keith Orton, Jonathan Cena, and David Batista, who never went on to do
the Bashams.
Oh, well, yeah. Them.
I couldn't resist, sorry.
Hey, it also produced Santino Marella, the Spirit Squad, and the Boogeyman.
The Spirit Squad had Dolph, so there's that.
I like how he's the only one out of that giant group of guys that did anything noteworthy. But anyway, here's a goofy story. Jerry Lawler announced that he is officially, or he announced this month, he is officially running for the mayor of Memphis. And he already had his first scandal within the week.
Shocker.
Two groups, the League of Women Voters and the National Organization of Women, have both complained about Lawler's website because it has a bunch of risque photos of his valet and real-life girlfriend, Stacey Carter.
Show of hands, who's shocked it was a bunch of women.
Yep. Oh man, we got the League of Karen voters out there. I wish Karen was a term back in this era. The WWF,
and the logo of Karen would just be a picture of Bailey.
Good Lord. But yeah, so that's the king. If you want to know, he did not win. He did not win. So there's that. But
in the 80s he would have. I just think that, people stopped loving him just because he's like a wrestler.
Right. Yeah. Well, and somebody who did win a mayoral seat in that same state later on was a man who he helped to train, Glenn Jacobs. So there's that.
The guy who electrocuted Shane McMahon's testicles?
No, Greg, the evil dentist.
I'm sorry. My mistake. I get them confused.
You shouldn't. King of the Ring is officially in the books, and it was the WWF's first pay-per-view since the ill-fated Over the Edge, where Owen Hart unfortunately passed away. You can see all about that on Dark Side of the Ring, which we plugged heavily last week. Kurt Angle.
Like heavily every week, actually.
Yeah. Kurt Angle worked a dark match for that show. King of the Ring, by the way. There was no ceremony after Billy Gunn won the tournament. He just sort of went to the back and the next match started. Do you remember
I don't even
that?
think he ever wore a crown. I do remember that. I don't think he ever wore a crown either.
No, he just got new trunks where all the kisses had little crowns on them. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that specifically, but...
And then he became the
I do remember this
jokes.
being, saying ill-fated, the most ill-fated King of the Ring ever. As far as the winner goes.
Right. Well, I mean, it became a joke the very next year when Edge said he wasn't going to Billy Gunn it up. or 2 years later, I think.
He ended up like having a mini feud with him over that too. He said, "You're like a vacuum cleaner. You suck and blow." And we can edit this if I can't say it. But he also got a chant going calling him Billy Shitcakes.
I remember that. That's
so. If you're doing the math here, he probably got more over from that than winning the King of the Ring.
That's pathetic. Yeah. And considering the show ended up going off air about 20 plus minutes early, Uncle Dave isn't sure why the show felt so rushed. Probably because it sucked. And they just wanted to move the hell on. However...
Was it Rock and Undertaker the main event?
I think.
I mean, how do you go wrong with that main event? What?
Hell if I know. WWF's King of the Ring pay-per-view, however, did do a 1.13 buy rate for those of you out there. That's really good, which is almost triple.
Because The Rock was in the main event. There you go.
Yeah. Well, it is almost triple the buy rate of what the most recent WCW pay-per-view did, which was Great American Bash. Oh, man. Speaking of,
and that's a marquee WCW event too.
Yeah, it was always a tentpole event. Another tentpole event that just wrapped up for WCW, Bash at the Beach, is in the books, and it wasn't great. Uncle Dave doesn't understand where the company's head is at. Totally incompetent booking, matches that didn't even sound good on paper, that were even worse live, stipulations that were never fully explained, and in one case, totally ignored. And finally, a ridiculously brutal hardcore battle royal that cost more than $100,000 to produce, and it was barely hyped in the weeks before the show. And it was so poorly lit that you could barely see what was happening anyway, and it still led to several wrestlers being injured for no good reason. The hardcore battle royal was filmed at the junkyard about 40 minutes from the arena. Goldberg also was not at the show, but the crowd spent the whole night chanting for him, and he was by far the most over person in the crowd. Bad matches, bad finishes, bad booking, etc. I remember that show.
So what I just heard is they want us to review this. That's what I just heard.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Especially that damn Battle Royal, man. That, not to give away spoilers here, but seriously, Fit Finlay won the first hardcore championship there, and it was a trophy. It wasn't even a belt. Championship, pal. Damn it. But it was a damn trophy at the time. So
I remember this. Didn't somebody legit damn near puncture a artery climbing over a fence? I want to say it was Brian Knobs.
He might have.
Somebody almost punctured an artery. I remember that.
Yeah, I think Bam Bam got hurt. I'm pretty sure Raven got hurt. It was bad.
Raven got hurt the moment he signed his contract.
Yeah. Well, hey, Greg, he got paid. So there's that. WCW's upcoming Road Wild pay-per-view next month will likely be the last pay-per-view in Sturgis at the motorcycle rally. Thank God.
Yeah, but there's only one August pay-per-view left before they go under, so what difference does it make?
Well, no, this was in 99, so...
Yeah, right. And in 2000 would be the last August one, which was New Blood Rising. So what the hell is it with that month in pay-per-views? They're just determined to suck that month.
I know. They're like, look, WWF is going to do SummerSlam, which is one of their tentpole events. We're just going to give up this month. Kind of that way in April, May, too, right? When it's like, hey, WrestleMania is going on. We're just going to give up, throw Uncensored out there.
That's March. April is Spring Stampede, which has never been that great. So, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I remember Uncensored was always going on around the same time as WrestleMania. That was kind of like
there was times where WrestleMania was in mid-March, late March. So, yeah. It was always one or the other. So.
Right. So they were kind of like, let's give up, throw in the towel, let them have this one.
We'll give them in October with Halloween Havoc, and that's it.
Continuing the downward slide down the poop chute for WCW, Dennis Rodman, who recently signed a WCW contract, was supposed to appear at the Georgia Dome Nitro, but he called beforehand and backed out. He also no-showed a photo shoot for WCW Magazine. Off to a good start, I would say.
I'm seeing nothing out of the ordinary from Rodman, but...
Yeah. Although he used to skip things to go to WCW, not the other way around. So here's some more stupidity. Master P is reportedly getting $200,000 for an appearance on Nitro.
Not even in his heyday was he like an amazing rapper. I don't listen to that music, but I can tell you that. I'm pretty sure he was never the rapper.
He was hot for around this time because he came out with a song called Make 'Em Say and he had like a real big hit album.
Okay, but again, I want to stand my ground and say just because you have a hit song doesn't mean you were hot.
He made a lot of money. He was a great entrepreneur. I'll say that. He was like what Jay-Z ended up becoming, like as far as entrepreneurship.
I'm sure he was. I'm just talking strictly about his active rap career. But.
Yeah, well, they signed. That was the big thing, was he was very hot at the time because of that album specifically. But past that, yeah, I don't know.
But they would, signing him would make Brad Armstrong a star.
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to. He's the one that passed, right?
He is. Yeah.
I don't want to bury the deceased, but he was a career jobber.
Right. He was. Yeah. I mean, no bones about it. He was fantastic in the ring, but
I think that's why he was a jobber, to get, the main guys ready.
The man of 1,000
definitely
gimmicks.
Serves a purpose, so, good for him.
For those of you who want to know who Brad Armstrong was, he was obviously, he wrestled under his own name a few times. He was Buzzkill in the later years of WCW. He was Fantasia, Bad Street, Arachnaman, the Goddamn Candyman. He had a million and a half gimmicks. So there's
and then
that.
They just called him BA with the No Limit Soldiers.
God, yeah, there's that. More ridiculous amounts of money going out the window for WCW. Goldberg's newly renegotiated contract is for $1.5 million per year. Something tells me he wasn't hurting for cash. Also, WCW is paying the band Kiss $500,000 to perform on an episode of Nitro next month. On top of that, they will be introducing a new wrestler named the Kiss Demon. Dave says to... Uncle Dave says to remember...
about it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about him someday. But Uncle Dave says to remember this gimmick because it's destined to be remembered alongside Oz and the Ding Dongs as far as utterly stupid gimmick ideas go. And
okay, I'm not going to say all that because
I think on the surface,
on its surface, when you want to model a character after Kiss, like him or not, they are a very known and successful band. And I will say this: I thought the Demon looked cool. Okay, I'm not going to say that anything else other than that, but
right,
yeah, it was clearly never going to work.
No, hell no. Some other signings around this time. Shane Douglas is signed with WCW, and the Insane Clown Posse will be starting with WCW soon. So if you know anything about the timeline, that's kind of where we are. Now
Dark Carnival, man, hell yeah.
I honestly didn't hate all that. That was like one of my least hated things around that time. Not saying it was great. I
loved the Great Muta, so whatever he did, I was usually for, so that was about it.
I liked the use of Vampiro at the time, too. I thought it gave him something.
Play his music.
God. Getting into the ECW stuff here, Scott Hall showed up at an ECW show in Florida, which was held in a small venue with a bar. I'm just going to leave that one alone.
Say no more. We're done.
Hall hung out at the bar for most of the show, and the crowd spent much of the time chanting for him to the point where it distracted from the matches. Bubba Ray Dudley, shocker, got on the mic and basically said, "Shouldn't you be at a WCW pay-per-view right now?" Because this was happening the same night as Bash at the Beach.
Wow.
Man. Here's something
left. Was he on TV, by the way? Like at that event? Or you said it was a house show?
It was a house show. He did make an appearance one time, once or twice. He showed up in ECW, actually on TV.
I remember that. I just meant right here.
Right? Yeah, no, not here. Here's some less, funny news. Not really anything to joke about here. But Rob Van Dam's wife at the time, Sonia, is still hospitalized in Orlando after a jet ski accident last week, and it's believed that it may be a year before she'll ever be able to walk again. She was injured when her, RVD, and Sabu were riding jet skis, and she crashed. She underwent 3 surgeries in just 1 week, including one to put a steel rod into her femur and a steel plate below her knee. ECW acknowledged the accident during the Heatwave pay-per-view we're about to talk about, and even showed a fan in the crowd with a sign that said, "Get well, Sonia."
So if you're at all involved in pro wrestling, stay away from water sports. Apparently, it damn near kills you.
Yeah, right.
The same thing happened to Brutus Beefcake.
Yeah, his was during a not jet ski. What was it? Parrot.
Oh, parrot. Yeah,
parasailing. Yeah, it was where he's getting pulled by the boat. So yeah, and you fly in the air, getting pulled by the boat. Yeah. So, and I think when he was coming down like another woman on one or on a jet ski or something like that, crashed right into his face and literally caved it in. They said they had to reconstruct his face from scratch because she hit him so hard it turned his bone to like dust. So there was nothing to reconstruct. Man, we can joke about Brutus, but that was bad, man. They honestly didn't think he was going to live. The ECW on TNN deal is finally official. It was announced last week that it would premiere on August 27th. That was heavily hyped up on this pay-per-view, by the way. TNN, which would later go on to host Raw, they would kick off ECW, which would be their death nail, and they would pick up Monday Night Raw. So,
literally a year later.
Yeah. This was a big deal for ECW, because TNN, the Nashville Network, whatever you want to call it, was nationwide. It was a big network at the time, and it would later go on to turn into Spike TV, which would later turn into the Paramount Network. So it went through a lot of changes, but at the time, it was a big deal, and they used ECW as kind of a bargaining chip to eventually get Raw. From the way it was explained was, they said, we're picking up Monday Night Raw, and Paul Heyman went, well, you can't have two wrestling promotions on, competing wrestling promotions on one network, and they basically told him, you're right, we can't. So, yeah. Anyway, man, getting into the pay-per-view itself, Heatwave 1999, man, took place July 18th, 1999, from the Hera Arena in, Dayton! I
was going to see how long we took to do it, but...
right out the gate. The attendance was 3,700 people. The pay-per-view buy rate was only an 0.26, which meant 99,000 buys, which for ECW...
I was going to say, let's be honest, that's pretty good.
Yeah, for ECW, that's fairly respectable. Little known fact about this event, Chris Spradlin, better known as Chris Hero or Cassius Ohno, he was in attendance for this event because he's from, Dayton, and he can be seen during the Bubba Ray Dudley promo. I didn't look for him, so I didn't know until after the fact, but yeah, nice little tidbit. After Taz cuts a fairly serious promo to start the show, we go into a montage of short promos where the talking is almost completely drowned out by loud beach music.
Good Lord, my first note is, why are they playing this stupid music, and why is that all I can hear?
I know. I couldn't hardly make out anybody, and what they were saying. So this was bad. My favorite promo came from Roadkill, who just said, seconds.
I gotta ask, by the way, the RVD part, I feel like the camera walked in on him and Bill Alfonso doing stuff inappropriately. I feel like, go back and watch it. They just walk in, all of a sudden Bill Alfonso's like close to the ground, pops up. Oh, there's a camera here.
What the hell?
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Good Lord.
Hey, now there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's what it looked like.
Well, they set the tone for what they would and would not be editing out of the show on the network, by the way, when RVD drops the F-bomb, and they don't bleep it. So
that is probably the most tame thing we get, by the way. Anyways.
Oh, absolutely. But in case we didn't know that the Dudley Boyz were the bad guys, by the way, they're wearing white ball caps that say heels. I mean, they were North Carolina Tar Heels hats, but still. These promos literally go on for 5 minutes to open the show. And like I said, RVD drops the F-bomb to close it all out. The show is being held at the Hera Arena, which makes me think of many WCW shows that were there in the past. In the years since... Oh, go ahead.
I gotta ask, is this a bigger... You would know. Is this a big arena? Like, is it like...
No. It's
not. Okay.
It's fairly mid-size.
Because I've heard of it. I've seen it on TV. I just, can't picture the seats in my head. And I'm like, was this a huge show for them?
I think at most it held 10,000 people.
That's sizable.
I mean, well, and I might be pushing it. I mean, I gotta look it up, but it's the biggest thing we had in Dayton at the time, because the Nutter Center wasn't really a thing. But yeah,
well, I think it was, but I think it was WWE's thing, right? Because the King of the Ring '93 was there, so.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So WCW and ECW went there. It was a 5,500 seat venue. So
okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah. So it wasn't very big. They could sell it out fairly easy, most places anyway. So it's, it is, that's what it was. It got ripped up when tornadoes tore through Dayton in the last couple of years. But I think they rebuilt it, or they were talking about rebuilding it. And to which I said, why? There was literally nothing going on at that arena for years before the tornado hit it. The tornado was the only. I mean, it's not considered one, but it was a bad joke. But like, the tornado was the only thing to fill up that arena in a long time. So
I'm not gonna respond to that. Wow.
And I went into the box office one time to buy tickets for something that was not being held at the Hare Arena. The tickets were just being sold there. But I walked in, it kind of smelled like cat pee. So, I was like,
it could be like the cow palace smell like rodeo, like cow dung.
Well, there is that. Got to look at the bright side, Greg. But the show starts out, man. You want to start off hot? Danny Doring and Roadkill come out with the future Lita, who is nameless at this time. And when Doring gets on the mic, he gets met with "shut the F up" chants. So, the crowd's starting off right away. When Doring was introducing the woman who would eventually be named Angelica as a pure woman, Joey Styles laughs uncontrollably, and the crowd chants, "She's got herpes."
Yeah.
That's the amount of class we have here, people.
I also want to point out, at some point in this match, Joey Styles calls her Lolita, which is
yes. Yeah, I was like, don't tell me that's where they got the name Lita.
I'm just gonna say it was a horrible, horrible coincidence.
Yeah, probably. Doring then proposes to her, and the crowd the crowd chants the ever popular "She's a crack whore."
The ever popular ECW chant, I gotta point out.
Yes, yeah. He ends the promo by slipping a condom, which was under Roadkill's hat, onto Angelica's finger like a ring. What the
That's
F?
class.
Yeah, what did I just watch here? I did, however, laugh when he called himself the Danaconda. I thought that was clever. But yeah, this match was Danny Doring and Roadkill with the future Angelica versus Chris Chetti and Nova. It went for 7 minutes, 3 seconds. A hot start to the card, pardon the pun. In mid-match, Chris Chetti calls for a dance break, and they play music and have a light show while he dances. Angelica then gets in for some reason and starts dancing with him. Nova gets mad about all this, ducks a slap from Angelica, and she accidentally slaps Chetti. And then Chetti hits her with the Amityville Horror, which is basically a cradle shock, but he doesn't cradle her. The match ends with Nova and Chetti hitting a tidal wave, which was a splash and leg drop combo off the top rope. On to Roadkill for the win. Uncle Dave and I, by the way, I said this to you off air. I'm going to preface this. I'm rating this on the ECW scale, not the everybody else scale.
So you gotta, so it's like grading on a curve.
Right. Uncle Dave and I both gave this 2 stars. What say you?
I really like this match. I thought it was like almost a 3, but then I was like, it was some cringing parts, so I said 2. But I thought it was a really good opener.
Right.
When I was a kid watching this, I feel, if I remember right, I think I liked Roadkill for some reason. I think it's just because of his dumb look.
Yeah.
Also, it's real quick. He gets a bad rap because he looks stupid. His name's Roadkill, but man, he is not that bad a wrestler.
Absolutely,
I need to point that out.
Yeah. No, he was pretty good, and
he just got saddled with some crap.
I thought he had a gimmick. Hey, we remember the gimmick, okay? Yeah, it's stupid, but we remember it.
I'm going to go on a limb and say he's the only Amish gimmick in wrestling history.
Most likely,
quote me on that.
Right. Yeah, most likely. And he only ever said chickens. People loved him. He was a good wrestler. He was only 22 years old when this match happened. Think about that. Look at him. Does he look 22?
Well, to be fair, he's got the scraggly beard and the hat on. You can barely see his face. And,
yeah, but still, I'm like, damn, that's a hoss for 22. After the match, a replay is shown from ECW TV where Taz shows respect to Tajiri. They got interrupted by Steve Corino and an injured Jack Victory who verbally trashed Taz. By the way, I never knew Steve Corino looked like this. I was like, what the hell? Do you remember this era?
I do, yeah.
I was like, wow, very, very young for the Japanese fans. A chibi Steve Corino here. But they come out and Taz challenges Corino and Victory to a tag match against him and Tajiri, but Tajiri takes Taz out with repeated buzzsaw kicks. Corino and Victory then pay Tajiri for doing that. And miraculously, Victory, who has his leg all like wrapped up and he's in a wheelchair, now he can walk.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. Brother Love has healed you. 2 weeks in a row.
I was going to say 2 weeks in a row also for Jack Victory mentions, isn't it? Did we talk about him last?
Yeah, we did. Twice.
Yeah, he gets around.
Yeah, he does. That's why I laughed when I saw him on this show. I'm like, Jack freaking Victory. But anyway, next match, man, like we alluded to earlier, it's Jason versus Jazz. This match went on for 6.5 minutes. Jason's nickname should have been Not Buff Bagwell.
That was my first note. I'm like, good Lord, is he Buff Bagwell much?
Right. He looks like him. He's tan like him. He does the same poses. He should have done the overhead clap. His nickname, by the way, is the sexiest man on earth, Jason.
Yeah, and then he gives you hives. He just gets scratched. I'm getting hives. He
always ragged on Jason. I will say this. I absolutely hate intergender matches, and I know that's not going to sit well with a lot of listeners, but I don't care. It's just my opinion.
You just got rid of the entire Impact listeners then.
Oh, no. Impact. All 5 of them. And I'm talking about their viewing audience, by the way. Anyway, but I absolutely hate intergender wrestling matches, but I do feel that if one has to be done, this is the way to do them.
One of my notes for the end, he said, I can't believe how much I enjoyed this match.
I know. It was believable. It was good. As good as it could be.
I thought it was actually good. I really did.
Yeah.
Not just for them. I was pleased to see no, I'm going to be easy. I'm going to be careful here. No breast fondling. To make it's a man or woman, so he's got to do that, or grabbing her butt or something, like none of that.
Yeah,
he was just
nothing sexual
flat out getting his ass kicked. And
yep.
Yeah, I thought it was so. I forgot how good Jazz was, by the way.
Oh, same here. And he wasn't hauling off and punching her in the face and stuff like that too. He was just doing wrestling moves. And there is one spot where Jazz puts a chair over Jason's junk in the corner and slams another chair on top of it. To which Joey Styles... I believe
this is the early days of the Concerto. I believe.
Probably. Well, this is the spot where Joey Styles says he's the sexiest eunuch on earth.
Wow. One of my favorite lines from him, by the way, in this match was I forget what exact move, but like Jason hit her, and then he hit Jazz. Pronouns, pal. And Joey's like, "Wow, I guess chivalry is dead."
Yeah,
I don't know why I laughed so damn hard at that.
Well, the end comes when Jason attempts a powerbomb onto a chair, but Jazz lands on her feet and nails is it the Jazz Singer or the Jazz Stinger? I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
Stinger, okay. The Jazz Stinger, which is a face buster, on the chair for the pinfall victory. The victory then led Jazz to be the first woman to win a match on an ECW pay-per-view ever. So, history, pal. Uncle Dave was pretty harsh on this. He gave it 3/4 of a star. I gave it a star and a half. What say you?
I gave it 2 stars.
Yeah, I thought
it was really fun.
Yeah, I did not hate it. I didn't fast forward through it. It was only 6.5 minutes. Good crap, pal.
Also, yeah. I got to point out, this also was another reminder that rules do not matter in ECW because chairs got involved. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they call this a no DQ match. So,
nah, I think every match is kind of like extreme rules, whatever. Up next, Joey Styles is joined by Cyrus the Virus, who says, quote, character development at the network, loves how Joey is coming along, and they love his new catchphrase. He's like, what is it? Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Joey looks at him and says, I don't understand why Vince fired your ass.
I gotta admit, when he said that, I lost it, dude. I lost my crap.
That was funny. Cyrus, by the way, I've heard he rubs some people the wrong way, but he was great. He was freaking awesome at commentary. And I think he was a great manager. I don't understand why he didn't have more of a run in a bigger company.
What?
I don't know.
I think that you play use an amazing heel. Like, you want to hit him so hard, like, as a person. I want to hit him in the face. I'm like, well, there you go.
And he was like, I don't want to say he was better than Jerry Lawler, but he was like at his peak. But he was that heel where it's like you laughed your ass off when he was on commentary, but you still were like, you little turd, and you wanted to smack him.
I agree. I also think that it goes in him and Joey Styles paired well, because the little I've heard of him in Impact, like on clips on YouTube, I don't think he's that great anymore. But I think because of Styles being with them, he was perfect.
Who did he?
Same thing I say with Byron Saxton. I think he works perfectly with Corey Graves. Yeah,
they have a good little back and forth. Who did he pair with in Impact?
Right now, I think he's with Josh Matthews, isn't it?
Yeah, okay. Blah. No,
Matthews sucks as well, so it's like...
I was going to say, to be fair, Josh Matthews effing sucks. So that's not really saying much that, he's not as good. But yeah, this next match, man, was my favorite match of the card so far. It was Little Guido with Sal E. Graziano taking on Super Crazy. The match went for 12 and a half minutes. This match was great, but I think it made Guido kind of look really weak, and it made Super Crazy look like Superman. After crap tons of interference and near falls, Super Crazy finally hits the straightjacket powerbomb into a cover for the win. Uncle Dave and I both gave this 3 stars. What say you?
I gave it 3, but one of the things I said was it's your typical crazy Guido train wreck match.
Yeah.
I said if you've seen one, you've seen them all, and I really believe that. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
But man, they wrestle enough. Like, you've seen one, you've seen them all. Trust me.
I thought this was a really good match, but my biggest bone of contention was, like I said, it made Guido look really weak, and it made Super Crazy look like an unstoppable force, because they hit Super Crazy with everything but the kitchen sink. He got flattened by, they said he was 600 pounds, but I mean, it's probably not far off, but he was a large human, was Big Sal. Like, he crushed him I don't know how many times. Guido hit him with everything but the kitchen sink, and he still kept kicking out. I'm like, dude, how would it ever be believable ever again for I almost called him Nunzio, Guido, whatever you want to call him, to ever beat anybody after this?
I also think you got to add into this whole thing, ECW referees fast counts. It's even worse.
Right. Good Lord. Well, I don't think they sprung for great refs in ECW, but
I don't know. I'm not going to say it was the refs. I think that's just how it was, because they were all like that.
Yeah. Maybe that's how they were told to do it. I don't know. Joey Styles and Cyrus, here's the point of the show where they announced that beginning on August 27th, ECW will be on the Nashville Network every Friday at 8 p.m. We already talked about all that.
One takeaway from this is, like, I feel like Cyrus implied that 80 million homes get this network, and every single one of them was going to watch ECW. That's what it felt like he said to me. This is 80 million homes. They're all going to be watching ECW. I'm like, no.
Oh my gosh.
You'll be lucky to get a tenth of that.
Right. Yeah. Hey, they were hoping for the best.
And then they should. I'm not knocking that. I'm just, the way he played it up.
Right. Yeah. Well, speaking of being played up, man, this next thing on the show is the thing on the show.
Be very, very careful with this.
Oh, wait, yeah. I'm going to be sensitive about this, or as sensitive as I can be, but it's got to be talked about. My biggest shock was they didn't edit a split second of this off of the network at all. It was in its entirety, not bleeped, complete for everybody to see. And you'll see why I'm prefacing that here in a second. This was the thing that was the most talked about back when it was just YouTube for all this YouTube and Daily Motion. Everybody and their brother told me, dude, or they'd ask me, have you seen the Bubba Ray promo in Dayton? And I said, no. And they said, you gotta YouTube it, check it out, just go listen. And I'm like, okay. And I was blown away. And I'm still blown away rewatching it. The Dudley Boyz come out with Sign Guy Dudley and Joel Gertner. Gertner, by the way, has bandages all over his face because he got a fireball thrown at him like a month ago, whatever. And Joey Styles is talking about, it's like, it barely grazed him. He's not hurt. He's just wearing bandages because he's an idiot. But they nearly start a riot in Dayton with this promo. Devon starts off hot with, we're going to need all of you in this trash city to shut the F up. And then Bubba takes it from there, man. It involves a lot of cursing, a lot of gay slurs, and tons of gross sexual remarks about women in the crowd. I'm not going to repeat any of it. Just go check it out. Cyrus is making me laugh.
Not only that, he talks about a girl and her mother, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a girl in the crowd whose mother taught her how to, and I'm going to
we'll leave it at that.
Take it from,
but
go check it out.
Like he includes the kid.
Well, she was a grown
I know,
but I'm just
but yeah. Saying that's a bit much.
Yeah. Well, Cyrus, by the way, is making me laugh throughout this whole thing. Like, listen to his commentary. It's amazing.
Real quick, he's supposed to represent the network, right? And they want stuff clean, and he's okay with that?
Yeah. Well, they're not on the network at the time, so he did say he does not approve. But
oh, well then.
Yeah. Well, Bubba eventually starts throwing drinks in people's faces, like legitimately snatching drinks out of their hand and throwing it in their faces. And then spitting on people, egging them on, saying to come over and fight him. And the big-ass mullet having security guard, he is earning his paycheck tonight. So I'll just say that. Atlas Security, man, earning they checks.
You always thought he looked like Don West from TNA.
On the gas, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But just when you think we're at the apex, the top of the mountain, can't get any worse from here, Joel Gertner grabs the mic. And it seemed to go its usual amount of gross, but it still somehow falls short of what Bubba Ray Dudley already said. But yeah, this is just something that has to be watched. I'm not going to repeat it. Just go watch it. It's on the network in its entirety. Go watch it.
Or don't.
Yeah, that depends on your level of how easily you're triggered. I'll just say that. Before the match, Balls Mahoney comes out and he announces that the match is now a Dayton street fight, inevitably meaning that heroin will be involved, and it's Falls Count Anywhere.
Wow. Holy crap.
Again, I'm sorry.
It is your state, so you got to pass, I guess.
Hey, people, I'm not saying that. I mean, yeah, it was a bad joke, but seriously, Dayton is legitimately the heroin capital of the United States. So look it up.
So it wasn't a joke.
But no, it wasn't really a joke. If you're in the Dayton street,
we'll say bad taste.
Yeah. Hey, and you and I still joke about this. I was waiting for a classmate one day because I was giving him a ride home. I was waiting out on the out on the sidewalk for the guy to come out of the store, and somebody walked up to me in downtown Dayton and said, "Yo, what you F with?" And I didn't know what that meant, and I was like, "I'm just waiting for a friend." He's like, "No, man, you do pills, smoke weed." I'm like, "Oh, drugs, none of it." So, yeah.
Oh,
but anyway. This match is the Dudley Boyz, Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley, with Joel Gertner and Sign Guy Dudley in their corner. They are defending the ECW Tag Team Championships against Little Spike Dudley and Balls Mahoney. Balls. In a Dayton street fight where falls count anywhere. This match went for 15 minutes, 41 seconds. I said the commentary during this match is absolutely hilarious. Balls is wearing a Master of Puppets shirt. Just felt the need to point that out. All Men Bleed
It was
like
a badass album.
Hell yeah, it was. All Men Bleed like crazy. Spike Dudley at one point pulled a New Jack, meaning he climbed up onto the balcony and jumped. More of that to come, by the way. Spike and Balls were about to... Gosh, Spike Balls. Ball Spike? I don't know.
Spike Balls sounds better, I think. But
yeah, they were about to get stereo pins on the Dudleys, but Sign Guy and Joel pulled the referee out of the ring. Spike and Balls and take both men out and eventually get the win, with Spike doing a small package and Balls doing a schoolboy. It would have been funnier if it was the other way around. But that's the end of the match. Uncle Dave only gave it 1 star. I gave it 2. This wasn't much of a match. It was just a train wreck with a lot of blood. What say you?
I gotta lean towards Uncle Dave on this one. I think it was about a 1 star as well.
It was garbage. It was pure garbage. I'll say that. It was kind of fun. A cheese grater is used, by the way, and blood is licked off of it multiple times, which made me just and the fact that, and I'm sorry, but didn't Balls Mahoney die of a heroin overdose?
I don't remember how he died, so
allegedly. I mean, I'm just saying that because I know he did do heroin. That's a fact, but I don't remember how he died. I think it was something related to that. But knowing that now, seeing Bubba Ray Dudley lick his blood off of a cheese grater just made me cringe even more. Like, Bubba, you dodged some bullets, man. I'm telling you. But after the match, the Dudley Boyz then beat up the new champions. The Dudleys then set 2 tables up and they set them on fire. Devon does powerbomb Spike through it, and Spike catches on fire. They have to put him out. And Bubba tries to powerbomb Balls through a flaming table, but the spot is botched and he ends up powerbombing powerbombing Balls Mahoney on his neck. It looked really, really bad. But then, speaking of New Jack, he comes out with a cavalcade of bullcrap. He's got a shopping cart full of garbage, and he pulls all of it out and smacks the Dudleys around with it. That's trash can lids, bedpans, cookie sheets, and a vacuum cleaner, which he takes to Bubba Ray's manly bits.
Wow. Well, manly bits. That's a new one.
He did it. So, yeah. I found the most enjoyable way to watch this, by the way, because they dub over Natural Born Killers on the network, obviously. So I found the part where the music starts, I paused it, and on my phone, I played Natural Born Killers and then replayed the segment. So that's the most enjoyable way to watch this.
If you're looking for an enjoyable way to watch this crap.
Yeah. By the way, I had to specify when I said Spike pulled a New Jack earlier. I had to specify that he jumped out of the balcony because no, I did not mean he was snorting coke and then flipped everybody the bird.
And telling everybody he hates white people and hopes they die.
Yeah. Go watch his Dark Side of the Ring episode. We're not making jokes. This is stuff he said he's done and or wanted to do. And no, and the other pulling.
Not only that, you could hear him say it.
Yes, it's out of his mouth. The other thing I had to preface it for: he did not pull a New Jack by pulling out a knife and stabbing somebody after snorting coke.
Good Lord, man! And none of this is made up.
No, he did a lot of cocaine that he willingly admits to. So, but up next, man. I don't know how to transition.
How do you top this? I mean, the show's over, man. That's it.
Yeah, pack it up, go home. We're done.
That's the pay-per-view right there. You got your money's worth.
Well, we get this up next. Tommy Dreamer comes out in street clothes, and he's got Francine with him. I don't remember him being with Francine in ECW, but I guess that was a thing.
For quite a while, yeah.
I thought he was always just with Beulah. This shows how much ECW I've watched in my life, by the way.
Well, shame on you.
Uncle Dave, by the way, loved to take a lot of shots at Francine here, saying, it's really sad to see her in this condition because she looks like anorexic, skin and bones, and blah, blah, blah. He did a lot of body shaming in the newsletter. All right. Like Sable, Francine, lots of body shaming.
The Iconics.
Yeah, oh gosh. And that was just on Twitter. Or maybe it was on his radio show. I don't know. Either way, he did it. But yeah, anyway.
I think I've told you this off air too. It's kind of ironic too because he's really well built. Like, yeah, I'm serious. He's like a jacked. He looks like a wrestler, like, or at least was one.
Maybe that's why he feels that he's a body shame. No, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but maybe that's why he feels he can. His wife, by the way, is also very athletic. I guess she's a coach of some volleyball team or lacrosse team or something like that at a college. So they're a very athletic family, them Meltzers. Either way, Joey Styles says that Tommy has herniated discs in his back, so he can't wrestle. Tommy says, he gets on the mic and he says that King of the Ring 1999 sucked and Bash at the Beach 1999 put him to sleep. You know, gotta bury the competition, man. He then puts over...
And he's like about 2 years away from going to WWE, by the way, so there you go.
With a bucket of puke.
Yeah.
That happened. Don't look it up. Just take my word for it. It happened.
He also drank urinal stuff. Anyways, go on.
Yeah. He did a lot of disgusting stuff. He puts over ECW being on TNN, and he starts crying before being interrupted by Steve Corino, Rhino, and Jack Victory, who are apparently a trio at this point. Corino says that he knows that Tommy needs back surgery and has to retire, and he puts over how old school wrestling gets him further than Tommy's extreme wrestling.
I can argue that.
Yeah. Yep. Obviously this was not the end of Tommy's career. Thank goodness. He's still wrestling to this day.
Yeah. Believe that.
Right. And Steve Corino is not. So, Corino then tells Tommy to just lay down and take a pin from him, but Tommy tells him to shove it up his ass, and Corino beats him up before Tommy fights back, eventually dropping him. And then Francine nails a Bronco Buster on him, and Tommy punches Corino. Francine nails a Tornado DDT and pins Corino for a 3 count, for whatever that's worth. It wasn't an actual match, but... And then we get Tajiri running in, and he takes out Dreamer and Francine. He kicks Francine in the back of the leg to drop her. But then he locks in the tarantula on Tommy to hurt his back more. But then Taz's music hits, and he comes out for his match. Tajiri tries breaking the tarantula and running, but Tommy holds on to him so he can't move. And Taz just assaults everyone, and they bail from the ring. But this is the next to main event match, man. It was, and I could see after a while why it wasn't the main event. Taz defends the ECW World Heavyweight Championship against Yoshihiro Tajiri with Steve Corino, Jack Victory, and Rhino, I guess, in his corner. They stood on the ramp the whole time. This match went for 10 minutes, 6 seconds. During the course of the match, Taz takes out everyone in Tajiri's corner in one way, shape, or form. The match ends with when Taz wraps... I couldn't see because the camera was so zoomed out. Did he take a cable and wrap it around his neck?
I think it was, yeah.
Okay. He wraps a cable around Tajiri's neck. He locks in the Taz mission with the cable, and we don't see the tap out again because the camera is pulled way back. But Joey Styles did let us know he did tap out. We didn't see it because, like, security and referees and everything rush in to break it up and to get the cable off of his neck. So that's the end of the match, man. Uncle Dave gave it 2 1/4 star. I gave it 2.5 stars. Just for entertainment purposes. What say you?
Solid 2.
It was fine.
I liked Taz at this time, too. So, like, I was heavily rooting for him. But I really thought Tajiri was going to win. Because if you go back and watch all the build-up to it, it looked like it.
Right. Yeah, they were building up Tajiri really good.
Yeah. And it would have been kind of cool looking back at it now, but in the moment, I would have been pissed, probably.
Yeah. And it would have made sense because he's got the crew behind him, and they were kind of building him up as an assassin. So I thought it would have been cool. Yeah,
like I said, when I'm watching this, I really thought Tajiri had it. And I thought it would have been cool, at least for a minute, because Taz probably would have got it right back.
I think didn't Taz just end up losing it to Mike Awesome after this?
Yeah, because he's on his way to WWE.
Right. And then
he's like in a triple threat or a 3-way dance, but like he is the first one out, which is shocking.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, Taz is gone. New world champion for sure. And we all knew he was leaving. Like, it was public knowledge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't shocking that he lost.
But. Yeah. But yeah, to go out first as a champion. ECW actually did that a few times because they had Shane Douglas do that when he was the champion in a few three-way dances. This match was fine. I do have to ask, because I brought up the ramp, what's your opinion on the ramp all the way to the ring?
The kid in me likes it because that's how it was in the old WCW quite a few times.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I'll say that.
I don't remember WWF ever doing that. Ever in its entirety.
Not to my knowledge off the top of my head.
They either had stairs, a ramp, or just a flat floor.
I'm pretty sure it was an NWA staple, or at least a WCW staple. Yeah,
NWA did it a lot. WCW did it a lot. And ECW did it quite a bit, too. Which is, was it Bam Bam that put Taz through the ring?
They went through the ring, yeah. I think him and Spike, were they with Taz too? Someone went through the ramp.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew.
Also on the ramp, by the way,
ramp.
AEW's been doing it too lately.
Yeah, they've done that a few times. I kind of like it because, like I said, you don't see it anymore. Now that ECW
I love the throwback,
are gone. So. Jim Cornette said the only thing he hated about it was it took up more space. And when he did his spot, like, where he's being chased around the ring by a baby face, he couldn't because of the ramp.
Because he had to run upstairs. Oh, God, I hope he's okay.
Well, no, there was, like, the ramp in the way, so he couldn't do that running around the ring. He was like, yeah.
Well, I mean, I just assume he ran up the stairs, cross over the ramp, go down the other stairs, and run again, but...
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. He said it was a lot. I mean, and I get it, especially when you're in full sprint. It's harder, so you kind of have to work around that, but... Either way, man, we're finally on the main event. It's the Impact players of Justin Credible and Lance Storm. They have Don Marie in their corner versus Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn with Bill Alfonso in their corner. This match went for 21 minutes and 7 seconds. Plenty of time. RVD is apparently seeking revenge against Justin Credible, who apparently caned him in the eye, injuring him previously. Alfonso helps lay Credible over a table outside of the ring. But before Van Dam can jump onto Credible, Sabu rushes out there and hits a triple jump splash to the outside on top of Justin himself. So RVD gets kind of pissed off that he took his thunder. In the end, RVD goes to hit a 5-star frog splash on Lance Storm, who is pinning Jerry Lynn at the time. Lance moves, and RVD lands on Lynn, but Lynn kicks out of a pin attempt. RVD hits the Van Daminator on Storm, and Lynn is up, hits a cradle pile driver on him, and gets the win. Uncle Dave gave this 3 3/4 stars. I gave it an even 3. What say you?
I was torn between 3 and 4.
So about 3.5.
I thought maybe about 3.
Yeah.
It was really good, but the whole him and Jerry Lynn, maybe we're gonna fight, maybe we're gonna team, just like played out a lot.
Right.
So
yeah.
Kind of took away from it for me.
Yeah, the whole thing building up to this was really the tension in RVD, because apparently Sabu was pissed off that RVD was teaming with Jerry Lynn and not him, because they were friends and stablemates, whatever, so that caused tension, which kind of blew up after the match, because Sabu tells RVD off, and then he shoves RVD into the back of Jerry Lynn. Lynn thinks that RVD just hit him, the old wrestling trope. And they just get into this big 3-way brawl where all 3 of them are beating the crap out of each other to close the show. Final ratings. 411 Mania gave it 6.5 out of 10. Internet Movie Database gave it 7.9 out of 10. I gave it an even 7. What say you?
I thought as a whole it was not that great, but watchable enough to where I give it like a solid C-. So maybe a 7.
Yeah, I think 7 is a good number for this. It's like you said, it's a watchable pay-per-view. It was enough good stuff on it to, I enjoyed it. And I don't enjoy a lot of ECW stuff, but I enjoyed enough of it where I thought, wow, this didn't suck.
I gave extra bonus points. I gave extra bonus points for having an intergender match that was like really good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and this, and after we've been watching so much WWF and classic NWA and stuff like that, this is like so different from all of that. So I don't know. I will say this is a very raunchy like just kind of R-rated show. So if you're looking for something you can watch with the family, this is not it.
No, come on. You don't want to show your kids that Bubba Ray promo?
Oh, man. Yeah. Hey, kids, go say this at school. But yeah. So, yeah, that was Heatwave 99, man. We'll definitely dive into more ECW stuff in the future. I've got it on the schedule throughout the year. But next week, we're going back to the trilogy, man. It is Clash of the Champions 6, the Ragin' Cajun. That is where Ric Flair took on Ricky Steamboat for Ricky's newly won NWA World's Heavyweight title. That is match number 2 of the trilogy. It's going to be fun to kind of travel back 10 years in the past from this show to see the NWA.
Also worth pointing out in that we, depending on how we do this, but we might have an incomplete review because I don't think the entire event is on the network, if I remember correctly. For some reason, there's stuff edited out.
Huh.
Unless it's been added? Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
like, I'm almost certain the Junkyard Dog match is missing. So...
Wonder why. Yeah. That's weird. Well...
And looking it up, by the way, there's no, like, gratuity or anything. It's just a match.
Well, I'll have to see what I can find on the internet. But yeah, we will review that next week. The week after that, it is back to the WWF in the year 1997, one of my favorite years in all of wrestling. It is In Your House Canadian Stampede, one of the most talked about In Your House events ever. From what you said, it wasn't all that like amazing, but you know that should kind of tell you all the stuff you need to know about In Your House shows.
The main event's damn good. And the WWE title match is pretty good. So, yeah, I mean, but the way people talk about that, like, it's like the greatest pay-per-view ever. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But it's got one of the better In Your House matches of all time. I'll say that. So.
Yeah. So that'll be fun to go back and watch. So back to the, I guess we can consider that the Attitude Era, or at least right on the verge of it. And then we're closing out the month with the trilogy, man. We're closing out the trilogy with Wrestle War 1989. It is the Steamboat Flair Affair Part Trace, and it is where Flair is thrust into his next opponent, his next program, after wrapping it up with the Dragon. Good stuff throughout the month of July, man. And
good stuff, pal.
And again, follow us on social media. Everybody, we're on Twitter and Instagram at @mainevent_marks. Search for us on YouTube. And please send us a 5-star review on your whatever podcast listening platform that you happen to be listening to us on. We're available pretty much everywhere at this point. So, yeah, and tell your friends and family about this great show reviewing retro
Marks worldwide.
Good Lord. But we will see you next week for NWA Clash of the Champions 6, The Ragin' Cajun. Later on.